G'day. So, why do people meditate? A lot of different reasons, but the ones that get really deep into it, the common denominator is a recognition of death. And when you look at all the world's religions, that's what religion's about. We're aware of our death and we want to know something about it. When I look at ancient Egyptian uh, culture, we see their religion painted up on the walls, and it looks very strange to us. We see their gods, and they don't mean anything to us. And we can even wonder how they even believed in such things. But we understand what's going on. It's all about the underworld. The pharaohs need to be mummified and protected so that in the afterlife we can continue on. When you look at our own religions, we're in the middle of it, just the way the ancient Egyptians were in the middle of their religion and believed it thoroughly. Well, mostly, let's say. Well, we're no different, except our religion, the form it takes, is different, but it's all about the same thing. I had a couple of good teachers in meditation, and they were both World War II veterans. Uh, One of them came at the end of the war and missed most of the action. The other was in the thick of it and ended up with shrapnel that was too deep, that couldn't be removed. He lived with that for the rest of his life. Death, life and death, uh, they were confronted with it, and their exploration then into the mystical traditions was very thorough, very sincere, full-blooded. They put their life into it. Now, it's not to say that they came away with a deep, comprehensive understanding, but they were honest explorers. The Chinese have got this uh, image of the dragon now. Chinese dragons are honourable creatures, not like the dragons that the British St. George killed. The Chinese dragon is in search for the pearl of wisdom. And if you've ever been down Chinatown, wherever you are, you'll see, almost certainly you'll see some statues with a dragon and in its mouth is this pearl caught between its teeth. The story goes that the dragon, which flies, is in constant pursuit of the pearl of wisdom, and every so often catches it between its teeth. And just when the dragon thinks it's got it at last, it slips out again. That's a very insightful parable. It's anecdote. We never can really get to the bottom of things. Pardon me. We can get a variety of experiences. Now, in meditation practice, there's a whole host of things that can happen. I talked in a previous video about various mystical states that can occur. There's a whole range of other things too. And if my experience is anything to go by, you don't really get control over these things. You experience them because of what you're doing. You place yourself in a state in which, if something might occur, it can occur. And these things are very intriguing. Yeah, there are experiences of extrasensory perception, telepathy, sometimes vivid dreams that foretell the future. These things pop along occasionally. Um, for, it doesn't seem to happen to everybody, but it happens to a few. And it leaves you wondering, maybe you can just grab hold of the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and understand it all. And really, these things open you up to a realization the world is far more complex. Pardon me, far more complex and deep and mysterious than the five senses would tell you. And those sorts of experiences encourage people to continue down their chosen path in pursuit of this great knowledge of what happens after death. Now, I've been meditating since I was a kid, and there have been periods of intense practice and periods of slack practice. But I've got a lot of experience. And a lot of these things that people are chasing, uh, with the hope that it answers deep questions. A lot of these mystical experiences, well, I've had those experiences. And basically, they're hollow. Um, it's an interesting perspective when you've had those experiences and you you can see that the promises that are held out in front of you based on those experiences are basically fraudulent, not in a unpleasant sense. People sincerely believe and they chase, in the and they chase for a long time in the expectation that there's some transformative experiences which provide meaning and answer questions. But when you're on the other side of that and you can review, you gain a different perspective on things. Now, the first person I came across that taught me genuine philosophy and meditation, he was 56, I was 13 when I met him. And I learned from him much later that he took me seriously because he thought I was rather unusual because I was thinking about death. And I was very young to be thinking about things like that. Now, I knew him until he died, 23 years. The first dozen or so years, I couldn't really understand him. It took a lot of work to start to understand him. When he died, the last few days before he died, he was very ill. And he wanted to die, but he was afraid to die. Now, you learn a lot. You learn a life lesson when you see that. The religions and the philosophies and the meditation practices are all chasing this pearl of wisdom. And it's a mistake to think that you can really capture it, just as this dragon makes that perpetual, perennial mistake, forever chasing, forever hoping. Now, coming back to the Egyptian religion, where we can see quite clearly that it's a cultural belief, fundamentally insubstantial. Those gods don't exist. If they did exist, where are they today? Just as our gods, in 3,000 years, if we don't destroy the planet, our gods will seem as ridiculous to the people in the future as we think the Egyptian gods are today. But the psychology, the underlying psychology, will be understood. It's about the recognition of death. Now, I'm teaching a different way to approach meditation. And that's rather bold of me. I'm telling everybody, look, all these techniques that you're practicing, you're barking up the wrong tree. Now, why I am saying that is that, yeah, okay, it'd be nice to have confirmation that there's meaning in life and that we continue after death. But the reality that you can be certain about is that you're alive. And for my money, meditation's about being vibrantly alive. And this is why I'm offering something a bit different to standard formulas. My experience is that if you're relaxed and alert and conscious, you're living. Personally, I don't have any philosophy. I've looked into every one that I've ever come across, and they're all, stories. Some of them more plausible than others. And I'm talking from having had most of the mystical experiences that are on the table. And so I'm not guessing about things. And I'm not following a carrot on a stick. I've seen people's responses to death and to life. And for my money, life is about living it. And my personal joke about death is that I don't want to die in my sleep. I've waited all my life for that moment. I don't want to miss it. I'll find out then, maybe, if there's something else. We're all living our own personal life experiment rather, and experience. We're all very different in how we approach life. There are all these cultural pressures on us to be and live in certain ways. But I think you have to be a little bit bold and live the life that you choose to live. with all the fears of mortality that goes with it. So coming back to meditation experience. So some of these um, intriguing states occur because of the practices that you do. Essentially, they occur because you've created the situation in which they might occur. But what's going to happen to you is restricted by what you aspire to. And genuine meditation insight, it seldom occurs while you are meditating. Often it occurs just in your everyday life, but it occurs because you've created the circumstances internally for those insights to occur. And it's a different range of insights which occur if you approach meditation not trying to make something happen, not seeking for some answer, just trying to establish within yourself basically a natural condition of just being relaxed and alert. There's a range of insights which occur because that's what you've created the environment for those insights to occur, where you're not driven by your fear of death. What you're driven by is a vibrant intellectual curiosity about life. And for my money, there's no way that I'd ever return to some of those um, traditional practices. There's um, some elements of it which I think I'll keep in my pocket because they're worth having. But by and large, although these techniques lead to interesting experiences, they're based on the same psychology of the Egyptians and a fear of death and a wanting to get a ticket into another life. So, see you later.